Yo, what's up guys? This is Rise and welcome to another video. You may have just seen yesterday us post the Aegis Slash is broken video, and it definitely was at the time, but they put in a fix of sorts where before Aegis Slash's shield form was getting some sort of 100 times defense multiplier is what people are assuming or saying, where it was taking virtually no damage from even Master League Pokemon as a Great League CP Pokemon, where it was like indestructible in its shield form. They removed that multiplier, so now it's taking the damage it's supposed to take, and it is actually usable and not unfair necessarily, I would say, in the Great League. It's actually very difficult to use, and we did just that. We used it in the Great League. I tried out a few different teams, was struggling a little bit, lots of 2-3s, and then we switched to this squad, which is two Pokemon I'm particularly comfortable with, Lapras and Drapion, and tried to pair it with the Aegislash. And here we go. And as you're going to see, Aegislash is tricky to use, like I mentioned. It's running Psycho Cut, quote unquote, with Shadow Ball and Flash Cannon. The crazy thing is, it's not actually running Psycho Cut when it's in shield form. It's running its own unique fast attack called Charging, or it says it's Charging, and it generates energy pretty slowly, 6 energy per 2 turns, doing no damage. So maybe the worst fast attack in the game, one of them. And then when you throw a charge attack, you immediately change into the blade form or the sword form, and that is going to flip your attack and defense. And also you are then running Psycho Cut as well. So I know that might be a lot to take in. It might not make sense, but hopefully watching this video and watching the gameplay of Aegislash, it starts to make a little bit more sense. Here we go. We're in a tough position against this Dedenne right here. I think the opponent was running ABB Electric with Morpeko and Dedenne. We get off another Sparkling Aria here, going to chip away at Dedenne, and they're going to farm us down. So this is a lot of energy. I can't really come in with Drapion, because I have so much energy loaded. I don't want it to go to waste with the Dedenne winning charge attack party. So I come in and you see how bulky we are as Aegislash, yet we're not like unfairly bulky like we used to be. And you see our fast attacks are doing pretty much nothing, and they're generating energy very slowly. I decided to throw the Shadow Ball here. This was actually what I thought a mistake in the moment. I thought I should have combo played with the Aqua Tail I had and saved this. But they decide to let it go. Then I combo play. I have double crunch loaded from earlier that I was able to keep. I throw another one here. Another crunch. And my opponent elects to let it go because they don't think they can knock out my Aegislash. And this is just an Aerialize. This is not even going to knock out. So my Poison Sting's KO. I think if my opponent had shielded the Dedenne, they would have been in a better position. But one other thing about Aegislash is it's so unique and people aren't used to it. Maybe they don't know exactly how it works, and rightfully so. It's a new mechanic. I think there was several games where opponents kind of misplayed against the Aegislash, or if they simply like kept one Pokemon around, it would have been a lot better for them. But here we go. Game number 2. Going to see Azumarill in the lead. We are not running Skull Bash, so this isn't the best matchup for Lapras, but not the worst either, because we can take 2 Play Roughs in this matchup. We are going to take the first one here and keep on building. At least make them think maybe we have Skull Bash. Throwing here. Lapras, very bulky, just like Azumarill. It's Water-type counterpart. And we're going to keep on building, eventually throwing our Sparkling. And I am thinking like maybe I can lure him into throwing energy and then save a charge attack for later on my Lapras, where it's going to be more usable, more useful, I should say. Play Rough connects. I save the energy. I go Drapion, and we are going to shield this up. Since they didn't immediately pivot, I figure maybe Drapion will have some nice play here, but then they go into a Tinkaton, which is not ideal. Not ideal for us. Tinkaton can absorb this energy quite well from our Drapion. I go for the Aqua Tail here. And they are wisely building up to Play Rough. I thought they might just go straight Bulldoze, but they recognize that Play Rough does more damage here. And if they Bulldoze, they're probably going to need another Bulldoze. I save the energy. I come in with Lapras, use the Sparkling Aria I have banked. I'm kind of hoping this connects, because otherwise this Tinkaton's going to have a difficult amount of health. They swap into Typhlosion. And at this stage, I'm thinking, yikes, this is not good for me. And I can't really come in with Drapion, in my opinion, because then I'm just feeding the Typhlosion. They're probably going to shield the Aqua Tail. So I come in instead with with Aegis Slash here. We're 4 off the Shadow Ball. I tried to wait a turn. Not sure if I did that actually, but now you're going to see it in action. It changes to Blade form, goes for the Shadow Ball. They decide to let it go. They don't shield, which shocks me. I don't know if they... And then they top left, and I don't know what exactly happened. So I don't know if they just didn't understand the damage that it changes into the Blade form. Because if they shield that, I'm in a pretty difficult position. Unless I can like somehow combo play with the Drapion maybe. But that's what I'm talking about. Aegis Slash provided some of these weird endgames where like, I didn't know exactly what happened. If the opponent didn't know that it changes form or what. Here we go. Annihilate into Lapras. Not a great lead, but also like don't really want to swap out per se. So I throw Sparkling to get a shield. Then I go Drapion. Gonna build up. I go for the Aqua Tail here. They catch it on a Diggersby. But that is what I would have thrown anyway. So not the worst situation in the world for us. I throw at 7 to cap tie with their potential Scorching Sands here. And I figure I'll shield this because even if it's a bait, I can still outpace them to the next Aqua Tail and put some pressure on it. Otherwise, this Diggersby will be very tough to get rid of. So I throw on the Fire Punch, charge attack priority here. This is going to knock out Diggersby. Is Annihilate going to come back? No, they come with their own Drapion, which puts me in a weird position because how the heck am I going to deal with this and the Annihilate? They bank an Aqua Tail before coming in with Annihilate here. And now that Aegis Slash is actually taking real damage, you see that Rage Fist does quite a bit. And this was annoying because I could have thrown that Shadow Ball right away before him, but for some reason they overfarmed and went past it. But now we're looking in a pretty tough spot because we're going to get outpaced to the next charge attack. One thing to keep in mind, though, is when you change into the Blade form, then you start actually doing Psycho Cut. So maybe if I had like thrown earlier, or at least in some situations, if you throw earlier, then you can start to rely on that fast attack damage where you're actually doing something. And at this point, this Annihilate is 2 times boosted. We are just going to be going down there to the counter damage. Not much we could do at that point. So well played by the opponent. And let's see if we search for the next one here. Lapras into Araquanid. Kind of an awkward lead. Favors the Araquanid since we don't have Skull Bash. I think with Skull Bash you win this matchup as Lapras, but without it, it's in favor of the Araquanid even if they don't have Bug Buzz. They Bubble Beam me, so then I pivot into my Drapion. And they let me throw a Crunch here, which is going to be kind of nice. Do some decent damage to this Araquanid here. They actually shield it. Interesting. And I just had to let this go. I'm not sure they even built up to a hard-hitting charge attack. I think they might have just settled for the Bubble Beam there to debuff me. Gonna go for the Aqua Tail here. And he lets me throw another Aqua Tail in exchange for farming up more energy. And now my Switch Timer should be up. So I'm thinking I can combo play with my Lapras, and they probably don't want this entire Diggersby to go to waste, right? So they might actually invest their second Protect Shield, and that's what they do. Diggersby has a lot of energy here. And I'm just going to look to throw immediately, and they make the nice catch onto their Araquanid, but I would have thrown this anyway, so not the worst situation in the world. They are building up, building up. I go for another Sparkling here. Not going to do that much. Then I pivot into Drapion, and this was kind of risky because I think they actually could have farmed me down here, but I get bailed out a little bit that they decide to throw Bubble Beam. And now we got to come in with Aegis Slash. And this is an interesting situation, right? Both shields still on our side. Maybe we can go for some sort of sweep here with Aegis Slash. They come in with Diggersby, and then I think I remember what happens here. I know shield the charge attack, and the game just completely freezes. And it never comes back. It just stays frozen. And unfortunately, after a certain period of time, we have to end up closing our app here. And I can only presume this might have to do with Aegis Slash being so weird with its mechanic. Maybe it's because, like, you change into shield form when you shield. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up at this point. I don't really know. But you change into shield form when you shield. So maybe like me no shielding the super effective. I don't know if... Yeah, I'm just spitballing. If that has anything to do with it. Or if it was just a coincidence. But with how weird the mechanic is for Aegislash, you can only assume or guess that maybe the Aegislash had something to do with the game airing out there. Here we go. Next game. Lapras into Diggersby. They safe swap Jelly. We are able to meet it with our Drapion here. And we actually charge attack priority them, which wasn't on purpose, but sometimes on the swap situation when you're desynced, it can be a little bit tricky. So perhaps a mistake by me there, throwing on alignment. Because had I not thrown on alignment and got the sneak, I probably could have like crunched plus aquatailed here. But that's fine. Instead, I'm going to now shield, build up extra energy. And if Diggersby comes back, we probably will reach 2 aquatails against the Diggersby, which could be valuable. There we go. We build up to 2. Looking to do some sizable damage. And our concern here would be if the back Pokemon is some sort of core breaker to Lapras and Aegislash. Double Aqua Tail. We're just going to let them farm us down because we'd rather have Lapras aligned here. They come in with Jump Bluff. And then this is great. This is great for Aegislash where we can completely wall this thing. And then but check out how weird this end game is. Because once again, remember, with Aegislash, you don't necessarily want to throw your charge attacks right away. Because then you change yourself into the blade form. And our opponent recognizes that. So now we're both just going over 100 energy. Because my move doesn't quite one-shot them. So we're both just farming and doing such little damage to each other with our fast attacks. I'm waiting for my switch clock to come up so I can potentially switch after I throw my charge attack here. I finally go for the Shadow Ball. And you see the mechanic changes to blade form, use the Shadow Ball. They shield. I stay in, and when you shield, you go back into shield form. So I use my shield there. They swap, I swap, and our Lapras is still so healthy. We should be in a good position here. They get the attack drop as well. Honestly, I probably should have just surfed immediately because they're a non-shadow, but maybe Energy Ball still would have been enough. But I don't think this overfarm was necessary, taking another Scorching Sands. I guess in the moment, I wanted to lure them into like throwing energy quicker here against my Lapras. But yeah, it didn't really matter. And now I'm just thinking, okay, I just win. My only lose condition is if they live a Flash Cannon and it like allows a move from the Jump Bluff to then KO me. But Flash Cannon KOs, and I think it actually does plenty enough from this range to KO the Jump Bluff. If I look it up over here on the side, PV Poke, let's see. Single battle, Aegis Slash Blade against Jump Bluff. It says it does 62%, so I think that that's probably correct there. And Flash Cannon does do more than the Shadow Ball. Here we go. Lapras into Drifblim. Lapras into Drifblim. We respect the potential Shadow Ball here. They savagely bait us with the Icy Wind. I go for the Surf now. Do some chip damage. Go immediately into my Drapion. They're going to start firing off Aqua Tails. That opposing Drifblim still has a weird amount of health for us where it could be difficult to get rid of. I throw Aqua Tail here knowing it's not going to quite KO. And I decide this might be a valuable amount of health on my Drapion, so I elect to shield and then go for a Poison Sting down onto their Drapion. I know they're unlikely going to come in with Drifbloom. And they come in with Fortress. And in the moment, I wasn't really sure what to do here. I go for a Crunch, and I save an Aqua Tail. And I swap into Lapras. Now, not entirely sure why I did this. I guess I just wanted to, like, sacrifice it. And with shields down, I was thinking maybe Aegis Slash can sweep here. But the awkward thing is Drifbloom will outpace. So I think if our opponent had immediately swapped Drifbloom at this point, they would have been in a favorable position. But instead, they stay in. And maybe they didn't know that Aegis Slash got fixed. I don't know. But they stay in for so long, it's going to really set us up here. They Sand Tomb us again. They swap. I swap because I thought maybe I could live one Astonish and get to a Crunch, but I can't. So I guess we reset our debuff. Not that that matters a ton. But I get to the Shadow Ball. This will definitely one-shot the Shadow Drifbloom. Bang! And then a Shadow Ball here against Shadow Fortress. I'm assuming it's going to knock out from this range. And there you see what Aegislash is capable of, right? Took all that damage from Fortress and then was able to one-shot both the remaining Pokemon. So it is really, really interesting. I don't think it's necessarily overpowered just because of the fact that when you're in shield form and you're doing like no damage, you also open up the opportunity for like opposing players to overfarm a ton and save that energy. So yeah, it's a really weird Pokemon that takes some getting used to. It's not very easy to use in my opinion. I'm curious, how much did that Shadow Ball do to that Shadow Drifbloom? Shadow Drifbloom. Shadow Ball. Oh my god, 164%. Insane. Here we go. Lapras against Caesar. Caesar kind of a core breaker here. Has play against all of our Pokemon, but our Pokemon also have play against it, right? Sparkling Aria does a lot. And Drapion will resist the charge attacks from Caesar. Swap in Drapion. They're going to throw a charge attack here. I'm going to elect to no shield. And I throw Aqua Tail. They catch it on Dusclops. This game I remember. This was a brutal one. They catch on Dusclops after I went one past. I still get off a Crunch here, which is something. And they're going to knock me out here. Now, I'm hoping that Lapras can Psywave down here before they do 2 hexes to get there next. Then I do Psywave down. That's big. Caesar has some energy and will outpace us, which is a concern here. And we shield. We know they might catch, and I fall for it anyway. Brutal, brutal catch here. And this essentially is the game-winning catch for them to secure this game. Because had I been more patient and landed the Ice Beam there, I think I win this game. Had I saved the energy and gone into Aegislash, I guess that wouldn't have mattered. I guess I would have lost anyway if I did that. So basically, I just needed to be a little bit more patient there. But as you could see, we were getting kind of low. And yeah, our opponent... I guess they didn't do a Bullet Punch. Can we tell? Did they wait a turn there? Is that what happened? Or did they just swap immediately? Because that'd be kind of embarrassing. Little instant replay here. They throw. Because it seemed like I made up my mind, like one Psywave and then throw. If I pause. Yeah, I feel like if they instant swapped, the typing would have changed immediately. But you see the typing like... It says Caesar still, and then the typing changes. So it seems like they almost waited a turn. But maybe not. I don't know. Looks kind of funky. So I was pretty frustrated about that loss, honestly, because I feel like I should have won that game. But that happens. Sometimes you lose games you should have won. That's Pokemon Go PvP. That's why we play. You try to flip bad situations. And there might be one more battle to wrap things up here. Ugh, I got carried away again. Okay, there we go. Matt F. Lapras into Gligar. Great lead for us. They say swap Drapion. I'm going to stay in because I don't really have a comfortable counter response here. I'm at least going to stay in momentarily. Crunch connects. Going to go for a Sparkling. I'm going to overfarm here. Call that they throw on 4, and I get the catch on a Crunch most likely. And I also get a Poison Sting in, which is kind of nice. And instead of throwing my Aqua Tail first, I actually elect to overfarm, and I end up shielding this Aqua Tail. So now I have a lot of health still, where they can't really farm me down with a Gligar. And I have double Aqua Tail, which is straight up 2 shots to Gligar. So first Aqua Tail going to connect. Over farming. I go up to double, and they catch this one onto a Lapras. Very nice catch. Keeping themselves alive now. And I decide to overfarm again, and I store a Crunch plus Aqua Tail, which I plan on saving for later for the Gligar most likely. Then I swap into Aegis Slash. So all this energy that they have built is going to have to be dumped into this Aegis Slash, where it's not going to do quite as much. Sparkling Aria connects for some neutral damage, but now you see once again, it's been fixed with the defense multiplier, so it actually does some damage. Now, I was thinking maybe I live a dig from here. I don't know if I actually do, but they bait me anyway. And honestly, I don't know if they even had enough for a dig at that point. They might have been short of it. Shadow Ball going through. Will it connect? It does. They let it go. I pivot to clear my, I was going to say clear my debuff, but clear my form. Set myself back to the shield form. And now I make the call that we can still reach a Sparkling Aria, even if we take this Sparkling Aria and preserve our Protect Shield. And that's exactly what happens. Now they really have no choice but to shield. Otherwise, fast attacks might be too much. And I take a look at my Drapion. I'm thinking, can I do one more Sting before getting farmed down? I felt like I could. And some nice little damage recognition there is going to knock out the Lapras and give us the victory here. So those were a couple of 3-2 sets. Aegis Slash, for one day, was completely broken. Now it is a little bit more fair. It is still very strong, but the problem with it is difficult to use and get a hang of. It opens up all sorts of mind games, like you saw with that one game where we were never throwing Jumpluff versus Aegis Slash. Neither of us ever wanted to throw a charge attack, so it totally changes certain situations and adds like a whole new element to the game, which I think is a good thing that it's banned for Play Pokemon, at least as of now for Worlds, because it just opens up a completely new element to the game. And yeah, so let me know, you guys, what do you think of Aegis Slash now? It's a good thing that's gotten fixed for sure. With the fact that it's running like this charging mechanic instead of Psycho Cut, do you think that has nerfed it too much where it should just be running Psycho Cut the whole time? I don't know. Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment down below. All comments are appreciated. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. And all that said, thank you so much once again. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.